If you go to Aldi, there are 10 things you need to put in your cart. Find out what those are in this episode. This last year, grocery inflation has been intense. We've all felt it. And every single day, I swear to you, Facebook, the algorithm just knows that I'm attuned to paying attention to these posts, or it's literally every conversation in every Facebook group I'm part of. One or the other, it might be both. But every day I log in, and at least in one of the Facebook groups that I'm part of, the conversation goes something like this. I just realized we were spending blank on groceries. There's only 4 people in our family. What? How can I figure this out? Because this is insane. I don't know how to rein this in. What's everybody else doing? Or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And usually, I'll kind of like crack my knuckles, and, go to the keys to kind of give my best tips and little input that I have. Because oftentimes people will have a family maybe with less people than ours, and they're spending way more, and they're not even getting as many meals.
Yeah.
So I love getting in there and sharing some of that expertise, and that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Just one piece of the pie.
Yeah, we're zooming in on one of the things that we do that helps us save money, make that grocery budget go further.
Yes, exactly. And really, we're always open. We're always learners. We're open to new strategies. But over the years, we have seen that there tends to be a killer combo. It was working before inflation. It's worked through inflation. And that combo for our family has been the dynamic duo of Aldi meets Costco.
True.
And we are going to, in this episode, talk about 10 things that you need to be putting in your cart when you are going to Aldi. But first, let's talk about why our killer combo is Aldi and Costco.
It's an interesting duo because they serve, I don't know, maybe not vastly different, but they're certainly on a different
target audience, yes,
of the spectrum when it comes to their main consumer. So Aldi is, pretty good food at a really good price, low price. Exactly. That's why you go to Aldi, because it's cheap.
Good enough food at a really...
Sometimes pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yes.
And then Costco is, again, it's like almost always great stuff.
Hyper quality.
For good price.
Because they bought it in bulk.
It's kind of like the flip, right? They can both be maybe a little hit and miss, but it's like the reverse ratios. It's a lot of hits at Costco, and you're gonna hit some misses when you're at Aldi, but the price reflects that.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into this conversation of how we came up with this combo, because a lot of times you'll hear people that they're dedicated to Kroger and the sales that they have, or they're dedicated to some other store that's in their area. And that might be great. We don't have a Publix here. So if that was...
Or Wegmans.
Hey, if other things were in our area and we could possibly access them, maybe our dynamic duo would differ. But in our local area, this is the killer combo.
Yes.
And so... how we choose what we buy at each of these stores, because again, you're kind of looking at completely different, they both might carry cheese, for example, but they're going to be really different sizes and perhaps qualities. So there's always this element of the Texeras where we're balancing quality versus good prices.
Yes.
And what's the relationship between those two things? Because hey, if high tip-top quality is all we're interested in, our grocery spending is going to be through the roof. You can always get more quality.
You can always pay more, too.
Yes. So we're always balancing that of like, okay, what quality is actually, okay, now this is good enough. And then maybe on these items, we have a little higher quality. And some of these items, we don't need as high of quality. We just need to reap the savings here. And so we've determined what that is for us, where we like the quality to shine and where we just don't need to see it. We just need to see a low price. And, you know, there have been times that in our dynamic duo here, where we've been in a very tight grocery situation, we have been known to completely downgrade to Aldi exclusively.
Downgrade.
That sounds terrible.
We shift into a very Aldi heavy situation.
And, you know, even if we could end up saving at Costco or the quality was better, it is so much easier to control your cost and expenses at Aldi and still reach the end goal of feeding your family.
Yes.
But you're going to do it for a whole lot less.
And it's not necessarily, it's partly the food cost savings. But also, when I go to Aldi, oh, that looks good. I wasn't planning on getting that. Well, maybe I throw it in the cart and it costs me an extra like $2.50. If I do that at Costco, that's going to cost me an extra $17.
Exactly.
Because it's a bigger thing.
They also have a lot more distractions at Costco.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to come out with a T-shirt, a pair of pants, some batteries, light bulbs.
It's designed very differently, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then, yeah, just different strategies in these stores. And so, yeah, there's been seasons where it's like, no, okay, we really just, this is it. This is it for the month. And if we go to Costco, well, we might go once or twice. It's going to be the whole budget, and we're going to be stuck with massive amounts of bulk items that don't really make meals. And so, and that's just not, we've learned that lesson the hard way. So in those seasons where maybe the grocery budget just can't expand to where we'd want it to, or something has come up and we need it to be a little tighter than typical, we will just go exclusively into an Aldi situation, and our feet won't even touch the turf of Costco because we know ourselves. It's a near occasion.
A near occasion of spending.
And so we've just come to know that it's just not great when we're in a season of needing to kind of buckle down the grocery budget.
But no matter what sort of season that we're in, whether we're buckling down and it's mostly, if not all, Aldi, or we're doing our mix and match, there are some things, it's almost always Aldi. Unless, you know, it's really far away or we need it really quick or something.
And that's what we're going to talk about.
And that's what we're going over. Let's hit the list of the things that we get at Aldi.
Yes, the places where Aldi shines.
What?
And I know some of you are going to say, but we don't have Aldi. Again, I'm sorry. Next time you're in a city where you do, get these things. All right, so, and it was hard for me to get a list of 10. And some of these, I might be trying to squeeze a couple things together.
Okay.
Because it was really difficult.
Let's see.
All right, number 1, fresh ginger.
Ginger. There might be some ginger heads out there, but like ginger's ginger, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If I'm buying it, whatever grocery store I'm getting it at, it's
ginger
like the same
is
thing.
ginger. Now, I'll say this. I didn't cook with fresh ginger until well into our marriage.
Sure.
I grew up thinking that adding ginger to a recipe was just taking out that powder and shaking it into the dish. That is the extent of where I thought ginger existed. It went maybe in a pumpkin pie. It went perhaps in some breads. But fresh ginger? Now it's changed our life.
Oh, yeah, man.
It's in every, multiple times a week. And I've learned now that you can stick ginger in the freezer. You know, we'll usually snip off 1-inch portions and we'll stick the whole plant from Aldi because they give you a really generous portion
pretty big
for
root.
not a lot of money.
Yep.
And it just goes in the freezer, and that sucker lasts us at least 3 months in the freezer.
And most of the time, at least in a lot of recipes, you got to grate the thing anyway. So it grates a little bit easier when it's frozen or mostly frozen.
Yes, it
so it's
absolutely
another
does.
plus to that.
And if you need it to be diced or something, you just get it out and let that portion thaw and then go ahead and take care of it later. But we used to in the past, we'd either get it from maybe Walmart.
Yeah,
They
we
don't
just
sell
get
that
it
at
at
Costco, or we'd go to natural grocers, and we couldn't get the quality and the price to kind of fit where we wanted. And then when we discovered Aldi had it, it was a go-to. This is just where our family buys ginger.
Bingo, bango.
All right, take us into the second
The
one.
next one is Winking Owl wine. So this is like the Aldi
$2 chuck.
store brand, their private label wine. Winking Owl, a number of different varieties. Now, Winking Owl, I don't think it's won any awards.
Let's not say this is the
It's
wine of
not
the
going
year.
to impress your friends who are into wine. Not that that's a bad thing. But it's wine, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's not
good.
terrible.
Typically, I'll buy at least a couple of reds and a couple of whites at Aldi every month, primarily to use in cooking. We love cooking. It's one of our favorite pastimes, and a decent amount of the recipes we make will either call for red or some level of white. And so we like to have them around for that.
And then you have a glass.
And then I have a glass while I'm cooking.
I like to cook with wine.
That is enjoyable.
But it's good. And
relaxing.
I'll say, and we are not by any stretch of the imagination into wine.
We're getting
We
into
drink
wine?
it. Yes. It's like a gateway thing, right? So I believe there might be a time in the future where we don't buy Winking Owl.
Well, possibly again for cooking.
Yes.
And that would be maybe where it is.
So if this is your realm, I don't know if you're gonna love it. But for everybody else, which I think is the vast majority of people, this is great.
Mm-hmm. We've enjoyed it. We have some friends that come over for game nights, at least.
Game night sponsored by Winking Owl.
Every other month. And you know what? Come on. We've all got kids. Things are tight. There's going to be a bottle or two of Winking Owl that shows up at that because it's just appropriate for the situation. And, that's all we need.
Yeah. And to expand this pick a little bit more, I'd say most of their alcohol, if you live in an area with an Aldi that sells alcohol, most of them are in this zone.
It's worth trying.
And like if you get to go to the beers, I mean, this is like Aldi's shtick.
Their cider was good.
They make their store brands look like what it's supposed to be. So it makes it easy to pick out what you like, right? Like instead of Angry Orchard cider, what was it?
I don't know the name.
I forget. It's like
Frightening
Hollow
like
or something like that. It looks like it. So I mean, they have like their version
and it was tasty.
A lot of different things, and I'd say most of them are pretty good. So it's unless you really need something really nice, just get it at Aldi.
Exactly. Yeah. This in a lot of ways, like it's a good amount of wine that we drink, and then it allows us to then splurge on the special occasions with a nicer bottle at Costco.
Because we've set our bar lower with Winking Owl. So then that $7 bottle, wow. This is the fancy stuff now, baby.
Well, so last year when we did the Advent wine calendar at Costco, and the wines they included in that,
those were really good.
Were fantastic. And after that, we were like, oh, okay, Winking Owl isn't actually a top wine, but that's okay. It's getting the job done for a family that's trying to look at the prices, but still wants to go ahead and enjoy a glass of wine for date night or when some friends come over. It's perfect for that.
It's good.
Okay. You go ahead and pair it with some snacks and you're good to go.
Bingo.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So this is one that I appreciate and really enjoy that Aldi has. It's called their Red Hot Specials. And I know that that is kind of an encompassing term that applies to a lot of things, but when you walk in, oftentimes right in that front left, you will see 4 or 5 items that they've deemed their Red Hot Specials.
The white price tag with the red typing on it.
And these items, they might be loss leaders for them.
Yes.
They probably are loss leaders, which means this is a signal to you to stock up if you possibly can.
A loss leader is an item, usually a grocery store, sells, and they lose money on selling that item.
Or
but
just
they do it
break even. Yeah.
Because it's going to get you to the store to buy that, and then probably buy a bunch of other things. And in the end, on your cart, they've made money.
Yes.
That they wouldn't have if you didn't get lured in with that special.
And you'd spent that over at this other store. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these Red Hot specials, they're really good prices that, they'll knock down grapes or apples or zucchini or peppers or pineapples. It's oftentimes produce right up front.
Sure.
And you just can't, other stores can't even beat these. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of times these are signals to me of what are we going to meal plan around this week? Great. What are the Red Hot specials? What's going on in the produce at Aldi? Now, they've got Red Hot specials kind of throughout the store, but primarily we lean into those produce ones. Their produce in general is extremely well priced and also fair enough quality. Mm-hmm. Some things.
And that can vary from Aldi to Aldi based on how much room they have in the store, which also then translates into how much refrigerated room they have in the store. Larger, newer Aldis have more refrigerated space.
Interesting.
And because of that, their produce is usually a bit better.
Okay. Yeah, because we have been burned a couple of times where you'll get something at Aldi, produce-wise.
It's a great price.
And all of a sudden, within 24 or 48 hours, the raspberries they've all gone bad, or the strawberries have all gone bad, in a way that at a different store, they might have been fresher longer. So the Red Hot specials, as long as they look like they are quality and going to hold up, they are great buys to go ahead and get. All right, I'll take us into the next one. And this is, I don't know.
So it's a relatively recent ad.
I don't know if a lot of people would say this is a must-have in their cart. But for me, it's an every time we go to Aldi, the mini chocolate chips.
Yes.
The mini chocolate chips.
Aldi has, for how small their stores are and how tight they control their number of items, they have a pretty wide variety of chocolate chips.
They do.
They
even have dark chocolates.
Their standard chocolate chips in a variety of different styles. And then they've got those fancy guys, those Belgian ones. Yeah. And then they've got
the mini, and they're semi-sweet. So I appreciate that. The mini chocolate chips. And there's just something about the mini chocolate chip that makes me feel happier. It makes me feel happier when I see it in chocolate chip cookies, when I see it in chocolate chip scones.
When I see it in chocolate chip scoop in my hand.
You do that?
What?
Is that what you're doing in the pantry?
Maybe that's why I have to buy them every time.
I didn't know where they were going. But they just make me happier than seeing a full-size chocolate chip. Of course, we still occasionally use regular size.
Yes, definitely.
But when it's mini, I end up feeling like I got more. Because
you got more chips.
I did, but I might not have gotten as much chocolate. But I still feel like I got more chips.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, really like that. So it's definitely on there.
So they're a good price.
They're a great price.
They're tasty.
And
so let's get it.
Who else has mini chocolate chips? Just not a lot of places will go and get that. All right, take us to the next one, John.
Next one is milk. The old cow juice, cow squeezins. And we get it at Aldi. It's a great price. And now, unless you're getting into organic milk or grass-fed or raw or any of that stuff, right? If you're not doing any of that, I think milk is milk is milk. A lot of them, a lot of them might even come from the same dairy, depending on, where you're at and where the grocery store is sourced from. But there's one particular grocery store chain in our area. The milk is very expensive. And I know something happened when I see a gallon from there in our fridge, which is not very often because we usually get it at Aldi. It is cheap. Pretty cheap. It's one of the cheapest prices around. In our neck of the woods, I do know that the Omaha area is a cheaper place to buy milk than other places in the country.
Yeah.
But as of recording this, I think milk's probably at $2.30 something, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Which is pretty low. And then that other store, they'll sell it for $4 something for their store brand. It's crazy. And so just get it at Aldi. We we go through a decent amount of milk. I know there's probably some heavy people.
Some people are milk hounds. I mean, we've met people before.
Oh yeah,
we've met people before that drink a gallon a day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't handle that.
We've got a kid who loves milk, and we make yogurt, so it's a gallon at a time.
We probably go through a gallon a week as our family, and then we make yogurt.
So that's another gallon a week.
So that's another gallon. So we're a 2 gallon a week family.
Mm-hmm. So why not save some money? Get that at Aldi.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So speaking of beverages, we're on to 6. We've gotten through our top 5. Number 6 is frozen orange juice. Now, I discovered this during kind of the pandemic lockdown.
This was a COVID thing.
Because I was wanting to find something special that we don't usually have, but I didn't want my kids to, like, if I bought juice and it's in the fridge, well, that's all they want now.
All they're asking
That's
for.
all they're going to ask for. And I know that once we crack it open, they're going to guzzle it in one sitting. So I was going in their freezer section because back then I was trying to shop once a month.
And a lot into the freezer.
So that I could reasonably go on one trip a month. Well, that's when I discovered this frozen orange juice.
Had you ever had frozen orange juice concentrate in your life?
Growing up, I did.
Yes, this was the only orange juice I knew.
Yeah, totally. And then as I became an adult, just I forgot about it. And then in my head somewhere it was like, if it's frozen orange juice in a can, it must be a bunch of preservatives and unhealthy and a bunch of sugar added. But I looked at the can when I saw it in Aldi's freezer section, and it was literally just frozen orange, like the concentrate that they would put in a bottle and just add liquid to, but now it's in its frozen form.
Yes, and all right, this is maybe a little bit more than we need to get into, but so I'll be quick. Orange juice. There's a lot going on in that bottle of orange juice than you think.
Oh, if you want to deep dive on the orange juice industry.
If you're getting that, not from concentrate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe it's not from concentrate, but how do they have that much orange juice all year round? They extract all the oxygen, which also extracts a lot of flavor. Then they have to pump it all back in, and because it's made from oranges, they can just say it contains oranges. So you're not getting some magical fresh squeezed thing. You might as well get the frozen stuff.
It is so much.
It's the same stuff.
It costs so much less.
It is way cheaper.
Because you're also not paying for the jug that it comes in. Or the water. Or
the storage space in your house.
Exactly. And so I just buy cans. And then on a Sunday morning, because we don't have juice unless it's a solemnity. That's just one of our family rules. I will bust out one of those. I'll make a picture of it. And I just know that it often doesn't finish with brunch, but then it'll be finished probably by the end of the day. And then I can just move on with our lives, and we don't have a big fight about juice in the fridge. And I don't have to store it for very long.
Bingo.
So that's one of our Aldi buys, frozen OJ. Okay, let's go with the next one. Jonathan?
This next item is cream cheese. Sure, I'm from Pennsylvania. So Philadelphia cream cheese. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't like that? But you know what I don't like about it? The price.
It's a really good price at Aldi.
Yes, and cream cheese is another one of those ingredients where it doesn't matter too much. No. You're only ever going to eat it on its own, on a bagel.
Very rarely.
Maybe.
And our family doesn't really eat bagels.
Yeah, so it's going inside something else. And it tastes good anyway on its own. This is one of those products where Aldi they do a really good job. It's a great price. So let's get it there.
And we found that when we tried to buy it bulk, we just didn't eat enough cream cheese to keep up with that amount. So for most people, if you are a bagel and a schmear person every day, and your whole family is, you probably should go bulk. But if you're anybody else but that, then getting a 1 or 2 pack at Aldi, I think, is worth it. All right, next up is dried beans.
Ooh, cheap already.
Cheap already, exactly. Dried beans are kind of a long lost staple of the kitchen pantry.
It's a kitchen secret.
It's a kitchen secret. And I didn't really discover this until we had learned to cook many years into our marriage. I just thought you had to buy canned beans. And then I discovered one day that there's this bag of dried beans that I could rehydrate and actually cook, and they even taste better than the can. Mm-hmm. Wait, what? So Aldi has a variety of these dried beans, and you can save tremendously. I want to say it's like $1 a pound.
It's crazy.
And that amount of beans, a pound of beans,
turns into lots of beans.
It turns into a lot. And the fiber and the protein, and they've just become a part of every time we go to Aldi. We are getting, some of the black beans. What are the other ones? The pinto beans. And that's just part of the routine there.
Yep, a dried bean. Almost anywhere you get them, they're going to be cheap.
And
they're really cheap at Aldi.
Yes, with the invention of the Instant Pot.
Oh, yeah.
It's made it a lot easier to hydrate a dried bean, because in the past, it would be...
It can take some time.
I have to cook, and I'm supposed to let this hydrate for 8 hours in the pan? And then it's automatically out because dinner needs to be in an hour and a half. So the Instant Pot does make that possible. All right, John, let's go. On to number 9.
Number 9 is a maybe overlooked member of the Brassica Olerastra family.
What?
I think that's what it's called. And this is the cabbage.
Cabbage.
And I didn't have a lot of cabbage growing up.
I didn't either.
I think my impressions of cabbage...
Oh, they were terrible.
Were boiled, stanky, gross stuff. But cabbage is really good.
So good.
I mean, come on. How do you beat a nice, fresh coleslaw? You can't. You
coleslaw.
Can't do it.
Yes.
And so you gotta get some cabbage in your life. Again, it's one of those. It's pretty cheap.
It's
cheap.
It's
dead cheap at Aldi.
It is packed with nutrition.
And that thing is that's a solid head of cabbage.
Oh yeah,
there's
this
a
isn't
lot
some
in there.
Yeah, they're not wimpy cabbages.
It is dense. And a cabbage will stick around in your fridge for quite a while.
A month before
Easy.
A month or two. Yeah, they last.
It's incredible.
But every time we run out of cabbage, we always get another one at Aldi. And I'm always trying to, again, because cabbage is so nutritionally dense, but also really inexpensive. It's just one of those pieces of produce that, if you can cook and have a lot of your meals revolve around things like carrots, celery, and cabbage, automatically your grocery expenses are going to plummet. But you're still packing the high nutrition. You're not losing out on that. And then the fiber in cabbage. So many good benefits for your gut health. And you can ferment it and all these amazing things. But we always have a cabbage from Aldi. It's just part of life. You're going to open up the crisper and you're going to see an Aldi cabbage. And, that helps with meal planning because I've got about 6 or 7 recipes that rely on cabbage. So I just know that when I always have an Aldi cabbage, then I know automatically how to use it. Because a lot of times people, they just don't know how to use it. So once you've got these core recipes, you can kind of rotate in and out. It takes a lot of the weight off of meal plan. If you know that some of your meals are probably just going to rotate in and out every other week. And that's how it's kind of flowed for our family. Yeah.
Now we started off this list, right, with fresh ginger in the produce section. We've come around. It's kind of, this is ending up a lot like when I go to the store. And I've forgotten a couple things, right? That produce section's right in front. I'm not very efficient, so I went all through the store. I checked my list. Oops. I got to go back. So we just circled back to the front of the store. We picked up our cabbage. And then the last thing here on the list are fresh herbs, especially cilantro and parsley. Those are the ones that we use a lot of in the Texera household.
Yes. And we try to grow our own herbs. We've had a few flops.
Last
and
year was
failures.
really good. This year,
this year has been a little tough.
not so much.
We do have a lot in the freezer, so that's good. But cilantro, we were going hot on that, and then I don't know what happened. It died in the windowsill earlier this summer. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was like a bug.
It was early on. Yeah, there's something.
There was something
somebody
on
got
it
to
that
it.
just got on it, and anyway, we've grown parsley successfully, and we've had it in the freezer, but again, it's just one of those things that it's so cheap at Aldi to buy cilantro and parsley, and they keep it right up front. That it's just easier now for our family to just get those there at Aldi.
And so most of the produce, a lot of the stuff at Aldi is kind of prepackaged. You're right. It's going to be in a little bit of a bag. The parsley and the celery, certainly. And it's a little bit less parsley than what or cilantro than you'd get at, say, Walmart. But it's in that bag already, which does help keep it fresh in your fridge. If you don't have a little baggie, you have to do it. If you buy a fresh herb somewhere, you got to have it, cut in some water with a bag on it loosely. But with Aldi, it just stays pretty well in the fridge on its own when you buy it. So it takes out that little step.
Yeah. And that we do try to elongate the life of our herbs by chopping the bottoms and putting them in a tiny cup, standing up with the bag on top. That's how you're supposed to store herbs in the fridge. If you just throw the bag in to the crisper.
Or just the loose bunch.
Or the loose bunch, you can expect it to be wilted within 48 hours. It's going to be unusable. So we like ours to last well over a week or two. And with the bag and the water method, you can absolutely get it to last that way. But yeah, every other week when we go to Aldi, I'm getting these herbs. And thankfully, we've been able to grow a bunch of the other herbs, sage, thyme, dill, and those are in the freezer. And Aldi doesn't even carry those. No. So it works out. But the ones that they do carry, we just go ahead and get those there. That rounds it out, though. That rounds it out. The 10 things that we get at Aldi to help us combat grocery store inflation and keep our food budget in check.
That's right. And you can continue keeping your food budget in check with our food and grocery bundle. It's got lots of goodies in it that are going to help you slash costs, be more efficient, and eat tasty meals. You can grab that with the link in the show notes or head on over to walletwin.com/food bundle. And if you use the promo code GROCERY, you'll get $10 off.
There you go. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for joining us today. You can learn more about this show and the WalletWin program at walletwin.com.
Music in this episode's from Dylan Gardner. Listen to his new album, Almost Real, on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your music. See you next week.